It's alive.
It's weird, yeah, and it kicks in live with like 6 seconds in by the time it shows me the symbol that it's alive. So for the first
Yeah.
6 seconds, we're like,
I assume that basically for like the 30 seconds before we hit live, everyone can just see our, ridiculous pre-show ramblings. So
I do apologize for all the
apologies.
cussing I was saying
I
before the
was
show
gonna
went
say,
live.
I was just gonna say the same. I apologize for all the filthy language. Hey,
Same.
welcome
Hey, welcome
everybody
back.
to the best of our week.
Hmm.
This is where TK and I get to hang out with all of you fine folks and nerd out. I have not hosted this on my Twitch. So TK is gonna finish the rest of our rambling intro while I go to twitch.tv and share our stream.
Welcome back, guys. It is actually episode 73. This is a beautiful June 9th, 2022. Um, it's been interesting, and I say this all the time, but a lot of things happen every week. Obviously, we come back, we sit down together, we talk. We have a lot of our friends in the chat. Michael's in there, Ron, Scoop is in the chat. Of course, I see Greg, I see Barry Johnson, I see Vince, of course, as well. Farhan's in there kicking it with us on this beautiful Thursday evening. And, you know, it's weird. Like sometimes I feel like we're going through like a little bit of slowdown. Let's play Diablo more. Okay, so the show's canceled. Disregard all the
Yeah,
titles.
and we're out.
Juan,
Show over.
that's it.
I
That's
feel
it.
so bad for Diablo Immortal.
Give me a few
Oh,
minutes. I'll set it up.
put
Um,
everybody drop an F in chat for Diablo Immortal.
oh man, but we have some interesting stuff. Obviously, Juan's rocking
There's
some
so
interesting,
much
really cool
stuff
hardware.
going on.
There's a
This is
lot
like
of
the beginning
stuff.
of summer. It's supposed to be slow and boring by now, and
Well,
I'm
we
I'm
got the
getting
summer
rocked on
right.
this.
We're cooking over here in Santa Clarita, so I'll say
it
that
was
much.
it was it was muggy today.
106. Yeah, we were
I
106
walked.
with.
It was a mistake. I went out. There's this cute little Italian deli. Went to go get a sub.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not that far of a walk. It's like maybe a mile and a half round trip, and
Okay.
just trudging to get to the
This,
deli was.
yeah,
I was melting. It was
we're
awful.
hitting summer temperatures in early June, which is not uncommon for California, but I mean for all of our followers or everybody who's listening. Yeah. Oh, okay. See, Bionic Scoop got 109, so we got 106 here. Yeah,
Yeah,
Bionic wins, and that's like roughly 40, 41, 42. We're talking. I mean,
yeah,
I'm like I'm
but like in a
roughly
bad
on
way,
in a bad
not
way,
like in a
and
good 42 degrees Celsius kind of way. Like in a ooh,
I
that's awful. Don't do
I
that
I'd
kind
like
of
to
way.
see a good way. I mean, so for me, the reason why so you had your deli situation. So
Yeah.
Omar's promotion was today. His graduation from elementary going to
Oh,
junior
that's
high,
right. Congratulations. He's
and
made the jump.
he has made the jump. He has reached Neo level. He wore all black. He had the Neo glasses going on. The guy was cool.
He is the
He
one.
is cool. I'm sorry, not was. He is cool. But dude, at like 8:30 in the morning, it was already like 95. And I'm like, okay, this
Yeah.
is not good. And we were all sitting outside. It was in the sun. So it was like 45 minutes of sun hitting me from the back. Omar sitting in the sun. Everybody, anyway, there was no cover. So we were all outside. So yeah, heat is a thing.
Yeah,
We're
the
back.
I felt terrible. The high school near us had their graduation today,
Yeah,
and there's
it
like the
is.
big park that I've
Yeah,
gone
yeah.
to start shooting some of my camera samples at. And
Hmm.
I'm walking out there, and you just see this sea of high schoolers in caps and gowns. Everybody looks deflated.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just got off the football field under the sun, and now
And we're
we're
all we're all looking like we just got out of the pool, kind of a thing. But it
oh
it
so
it was
gross.
for all the heat, for all the uncomfortableness there. It was still an amazing day. Very
Nice.
proud of the
I'm glad to
guy.
hear that.
Yeah, it's such a big moment for him, like an adult. I don't want to say an adult moment, but like
Yeah, he's all
you know what I
grown
mean?
up.
He's just like
Yeah.
I'm like, is that the kid? And I'm having flashbacks of when I was able to like, carry him in my hand, and now he's like
Hmm.
almost there, and I'm like crap and all of that good stuff. But no, yeah. So while we're having our chat, we're having our nice podcast. My son is at a party. Apparently, sixth graders
Oh,
have parties now. So yeah, not that I
that's
wanted to be there,
awesome.
but yeah. So he's having fun. He's taking care of it. He's fine. So let's just come back to our chat. I noticed that we have Halita Boy is in the chat as well. Tech Love and Mama, I think just saw notice her jumping in. Hope you're doing well. So I want to say this. It's been an interesting week. There's a couple of devices that came out, and we obviously your third video came out finally. The
Yeah.
third in a series of three videos about the Vivo X80, and of course ZX80. Yes, the X80 Pro with all its goodness.
So
So if you
pretty.
haven't checked that out, I think that it should be out on. It's out. It's not on the Patreon only,
So
right? It's out.
the Vivo sponsorship, by it being a sponsored video, we
Hmm.
worked out an arrangement where even though I would normally be trying to position, like the higher quality, the 4K 60, everything for like the Patreon,
Hmm.
they were very interested in making all of that public.
Okay.
So they launched at the same time. There wasn't like a preview of
Okay.
those videos for the
Well, I got the
Patreon. So
notification through the Patreon, and then I
yeah,
noticed,
I know. I
and
mean,
I think
most people, the Patreon's the only way to get notified that
Mhm.
I've put out a new
Oh, that's right.
video.
Yeah, because I don't get your YouTube stuff. Yeah, you don't. You post stuff on YouTube?
I've smashed all of your bell icons, and I very rarely see the updates saying, "Hey, by the way, TK's put something out," and it's only just through the virtue of the fact that like I know you, and I have an auto trigger for the Reddit whenever you show up that I know when you put stuff out there. So
I
for me,
appreciate
it's
it.
kind of the same thing with the Patreon. But yes, all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
those videos are live now. We did a premiere; it was a lot of fun. I hate doing premieres for videos like that because the
Okay.
1080p stream that YouTube
Oh,
does
yeah,
is
yeah.
hot garbage. And anyone who was in that stream, if you go back and rewatch the video, the photo samples make a lot more sense when you
In
can
4K.
see them in a reasonable resolution compared to what I uploaded to YouTube. So yeah, all that went out. That was really exciting. The third video was really the me video.
Yeah.
The first two videos we were talking with the Vivo people about like how to make sort of broader content,
Hmm.
something that introduces some of these concepts or talks about some of these features. But then for the video three, I was like, hey, this is going to be a very narrow focused video, but this is how I want to talk about your phone. And it took a long time. I had to get approvals. They had to go through all of my math. Like they checked all of my claims because they
I
are
like it.
not making those claims that I'm making.
Yeah, yeah.
I am making bolder claims about their product than they are. And I got like these official confirmations like, well, the people at Zeiss said this about the lens coatings and the people at Vivo proper said this about your equivalence math. And you're like, yeah, okay, cool, let's do it. And like, and I got all that stuff right. It was really cool because like, they're making obviously they're trying to position their product in a certain way, and I'm just
Yeah.
very impressed with like the nuts and bolts and the practical improvements to the optics. But it was great when they were like, yeah, everything that you said sort of checked out. We would prefer that you phrase it like this. And you're like, cool, I can do that. But you told me I did the math right. So
Juan gets an A for his math skills, and thank you. You are smarter than a. No, I'm just kidding.
no,
I
I was going
actually
to
did
say
enjoy that part, though.
pre-algebra did not
Three
let
that
me down.
down. Yes, I was going to say sixth grade or fifth grade algebra is still working great. I'm very happy. No, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's great.
what I liked about the big part about it that I started that your beginning of the video wasn't just jumping in saying, "Look, here's pictures." No, you started talking about the focal length, the equivalency, and the differences
Yeah.
between the lenses, and the differences between the cameras and the sensor sizes. And that's a big part of where a lot of people kind of don't notice or don't really focus on when they're covering cameras. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny I don't usually cover that type of information. For me, it's more how does this device produce content and so on. But you
Yeah.
went that extra step, and I like that part as well as the
I,
ability to kind of
this is
so you
this
can
is a
explain the
very
playground. Yeah,
well, and exactly to that point, this is a very specific conversation.
yeah, yeah,
This is not a broad topic. The way that you talk about phone cameras, you are entirely consistent, and I like the way that you do practical tests. That is absolutely, I feel like, what a core camera conversation should be.
yeah.
I am starting to push back against the apathy and the shrug. I've read way too many articles and I've seen way too many reviews where I even have to defend iPhones.
Hmm.
With the iPhone 12 Pro versus the 12 Pro Max, I'm sitting here listening to people with enormous YouTube channels going, well, I mean, Apple's color processing, it basically means they were the same, even though the 12 Pro had a significantly smaller image sensor. No one can really see the difference. And you're like, you're an idiot. Oh my God, you're going to make me defend an
An
iPhone here.
iPhone just to get the conversation. Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to accomplish, and I'm being very targeted and I'm being very specific. I feel we're still in one of those holding patterns where we're casually misunderstanding some of the basic numbers. And I think one of the things that is, it's a really difficult concept to get across if you're not used to thinking in terms of equivalence.
Hmm.
It's very easy to just sort of take numbers for granted on a piece of paper. But I don't like that we're constantly mixing the equivalent field of view, the equivalent focal length, with the actual aperture.
Okay.
And it confuses what it is that we're talking about when it's really easy to see, like on a Vivo, on a Pixel 6 Pro, on a
Hmm.
Note 22, on this new Axon, these mega sensor
The triple
phones.
64 megapixel device, but yes.
There's something really exciting going on here. This is functionally very different than even a generation ago, the camera sensors that we had even a year ago. So if we allow the apathy to take root, then when we get these larger sensors and you get a bunch of YouTubers going, well, I mean, we didn't see any real difference. That's incorrect. If you're looking and you're shooting consistently, it's very clear to see where these differences can manifest. And it's in
Yeah.
very basic
Hmm.
optical composition. I mean, we're just talking about subtle differences to bokeh and depth of field, but that's what makes a shot more photographic and more visually interesting. So, I mean, again, it's for me, it's becoming this kind of passion project because, like, if you pick up a Vivo,
Hmm.
what you have in your pocket is getting very close to like a 16 millimeter film camera in your pocket,
Yeah.
ready to go. And
Exactly.
if you can't get excited about that from a functional, operational, and creative place,
Hmm.
then I don't really know how to talk to you. I mean, the mission is we want to keep getting better gear, but if you're not really sort of exposed to a conversation about how or why it's better, and you're
Hmm.
just trying to do the same things that you've always done with it, then it's not really going to do much for you. But it just takes out little bits. Just look at this composition. Like I took that one photo of Clark Wolf after
Hmm.
sunset, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the Lake Balboa is behind her, and her eyes. You were the one who pushed
Oh,
me. Like
yeah.
you should
Yeah.
get one where she's kind of looking out on the horizon, and you're like, yes,
Try to get that
that
lining.
photo.
Yeah. I always loved like
It's so
symmetries.
good.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no,
I
exactly.
didn't perfectly line it up. I was really trying to like angle and squat and get
Oh,
everything. It
no, no,
was
I
getting
know,
kind
but
of
I mean,
weird.
to me, that was
But
what
even
attracted me for it because that was the shots I was going for. But yeah,
that photo
that
is
placement, the
so
lighting,
good.
exactly. It is. It is
And
very.
the photo is good in a way that a
Hmm.
phone from 2 generations ago cannot capture that moment. And if we can't honestly, sort of recognize that we're getting this progress, then we're going to increasingly spend more and more on phones, and the manufacturers are going to go, well, it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Why put in better cameras if no one can see the differences? And that's what really bums me out.
I so for me, if you haven't had a chance, if you for everybody that's listening, or obviously for everybody that's with us here in the chat, I'm pretty sure they already saw the video.
Yeah, I know
It's an
everyone who's in
amazing
this chat for sure.
it's an amazing trilogy that starts off with a little bit easy, a little bit fun, and then getting a little bit more conversational, understanding the improvements in the second episode with the cameras and what we have. And then now, like Juan saying this realistically, the cameras in our pockets are starting to push the boundaries of what you see or what your needs are going to be out of a DSLR. And last week we kind of talked about it with sales of actual camera bodies and,
Yeah.
and lenses and so on. They're going down year over year. The small handy cam are no longer a thing. People do not buy them because they don't need them. So truly understand what you get. And Vivo is really saying a very specific um, story that I really love, and I know you love as well.
Yeah.
The X70, the X80s are both very well purposely built devices, and I feel like that's the best way to say them. They're purposely built with a specific mindset of a creator, a creative person, maybe not just a creator, but a creative person's. And this becomes a tool that they could use that happens to be a phone, but really focuses heavily on a collaboration with Zeiss, but camera modes,
Hmm.
camera settings, and different techniques of shooting content, and it allows you to actually push the limit. So I'm
And
excited. I'm happy that you're able to have that conversation and be part of the
yeah,
creative process with Vivo, not necessarily just where we normally do it. So this takes it a little bit more special for me.
I really enjoyed. I was like, hey, I want to say this about your phone, and they're
Hmm.
like, okay. I mean, uh, let's clear it with the people at Vivo and the people at Zeiss, and you're like,
Yeah, because
let's
they're
let's
like,
see what they say.
he's overselling us. Like oh, I know
but
what you
but
mean.
but it's just the first steps. It's the first steps in a conversation where we used to say, like for example, I bring
Hmm.
up the iPhone 12 Pro a lot
Yeah,
because that was a $1,000 phone with an image sensor the same size as like a Pixel 3a.
yeah,
And we made such a big deal about Apple moving to a larger pixels, a larger camera sensor, but they only did it on their most expensive phone that year for the iPhone 12s. And when I, I, I it, when you look at an iPhone 12 Pro and you
hmm,
really do all of the same basic math, you can very clearly understand why photographers aren't impressed by phone optics because it's advertised as having an f1.6 aperture
that's
with a
true.
26 millimeter equivalent field of view, but that 26 millimeter equivalent field of view means it actually has closer to an f10 aperture equivalent. And so, yeah, a bunch of people who have invested in nice camera bodies and nice lenses and nice gear, are you going to be impressed by a tiny, dinky little sensor that's stuck at 26 millimeters, fixed focal length, and it shoots at f10?
F10.
No, you would never be excited by that. But if
No.
you've been using any of these like Micro Four Thirds or APS-C bodies, or even some of these fixed lens point and shoot cameras,
Hmm.
well, the Vivo is a completely different animal. And when you're shooting f5.6 equivalent, that puts you right in line with Micro Four Thirds, and it starts nipping at the heels of APS-C
Yeah, yeah.
for the equivalent optical characteristics of a phone lens. So it's going to take so much work to kind of unravel all
Hmm.
of the bad education that techies have been putting out there for camera sensors because they focus, oh, it's got 108 megapixels. How come like Sony doesn't use the gooder camera sensors with
Good. I love
108
that.
megapixels, bro? How come they don't have enough megapixels? And you're like, you've completely missed the point. That has nothing to do with what makes a camera more interesting. Go look at like, you know, Sony full frame cameras that are still shooting 12 megapixels.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not the resolution. So anyway, I just really loved that they went with me in that third video. I know that's going to be the least watched, especially like the watch time. It's
Hmm.
going to be the least viewed, the least shared, but it's like I needed to make that a major part of the conversation because it also leads directly into, like the hardware, which is just ridiculous on this Axon. It should be immediately accessible to someone who's on a Note 22.
Hmm.
It's what makes the price of a Pixel 6 so stinking interesting when you've got
Yep.
a hunkin' huge image sensor,
It,
slab of
it's
sensor on the back of that
Yep,
phone.
yep.
I mean, there's so
Mhm.
many opportunities to really look at like this is making things so much better for even just casual, like, hey, I'm hanging out with some friends. Let me get a cute little shot of people hanging out. And you're like, yeah, a Pixel 6 is going to shoot at roughly, what is it? It's 1.8 times 3.5. So it's just over an f6
F46. Yeah.
aperture. So, I mean, like, yes, that's going to look way better than an iPhone 12 Pro at f10. Like, oh man, that's so exciting. How can you
Unless
not
you're
be
taking a
excited
picture,
about that?
yeah, in exactly like a super bright situation, and you're outdoors, and there's not a question of an issue with light, sensitivity. You're not trying to push any kind of,
Fair.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. No,
mean,
no, don't get me wrong. Yeah,
I know none of these average consumers are walking around with ND filters. That's totally
yeah,
appropriate.
no, no, I know, but I get with you the conversation when it comes down to like to a 12 Pro and stuff. For me, it's really more so. Like I said, and this is the thing about it. Devices can speak to different people in different ways, and that I think that's why it's hard to kind of justify for one person. It's like for me, I look at this device and the capabilities that it can do. I love the fact that it gives me the versatility of the different the camera setup that it has in the background, but it's also the flexibility of having it, using it, and in low light situation, in normal brightness situation, in run
Yeah.
and gun type of situation, and the responsiveness. Once you start using it and you truly understand how it works, it becomes I don't know how to explain it. It literally takes the appeal of pulling out a full frame camera just to take pictures with it, and having to set
For
up
sure.
a
So
tripod. So for me, it made perfect sense. But
I mean, to go hand in hand with that idea is
yeah,
you and I, we
hmm
have a plethora of solutions at our fingertips for
yes,
creating images and
hmm
shooting videos and capturing memories. What I hope to get across is there is a good reason why someone might want to step up and spend more on a
hmm
phone,
oh, absolutely.
because it should be empowering to that individual, and
hmm
it should mean they don't need to step up to significantly more expensive standalone cameras when they're just wanting to cover their lives, like, documenting their daily activities and their experiences with family and friends.
hmm
We kind of take the phone camera for granted, but I think that there's a good reason to invest a little bit more if you're the
Yeah.
kind of person who really cares about, hey, this might be a memory, not just something disposable to put up on social media. Like, this might be something I look back on someday. And when you do that, I want them to know, like, if you're just doing basic snapshotty casual point and shoot stuff,
hmm
you really shouldn't be spending more than $300 on a phone. You're not getting more out of that camera. If you want to drive that camera harder,
hmm
there's a good reason to step up to $600, and there are some very good reasons to step up to 1,000. But if you don't know what those are and you just listen to a bunch of techies go, I don't know, it looks kind of the same when I take a terrible photo of a fire hydrant. I don't see what the big deal is. Then
Yeah.
yes, you're throwing your money
I
and your time away.
I'm
So,
I'm I'm laughing, but I no, I get
I'm
it. No, I get
laughing
it.
to keep from crying because
I
it's
know.
it's
You're
it's
you're
heavy
laughing. I'm
stuff.
crying on the inside, man. I'm crying on the inside when I see these type of videos. But before we go
But
too far out of that, yeah, I do want to
yeah.
say stepping up to a device like this is something that needs to be purposely done. That you know what you're getting
Oh,
into.
no one
You
is
don't.
doing this accidentally.
Yeah, you don't
Again, I
accidentally
don't even drop
walk
a
into it.
thousand dollars on a Vivo. It's like, oh no, I tripped and fell, and $8.99 fell out of my pocket, and this
And my Google
ZTE just showed
Pay.
up.
Yeah, no. Well, so don't get me wrong. So
Average
I want to talk about the
consumers.
ZTE, which the Axon series. I think was it a couple of weeks ago. You and I were talking about how much you like and love. Was it the Axon 10? No, was it
Axon 7.
7? Sorry, before they started multiplying. Yes. So I have the other Axon 7, by the way.
You have the gold one, right?
Is it gold? Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
goldish. I thought it was
if
the
if
silver.
you took my Axon 7 from Pocket now, then yes, it was the gold one. I was really happy. I
For the
actually
record, just for the record, I did not go into Juan's office and take
right,
things and walk
yoink.
away. There is a little bit of background story to
He's like
that.
all
We'll
in
leave that to
ninja
the
gear,
yeah, I
throws
know,
a
but
smoke bomb for no good reason.
but Juan is throwing some accusational statements right now on a Thursday night. When you took my, I'm like, no, buddy. Okay, there was a thing. No, yes, I think that's the one I have. I have the gold one. There was two, or there, yeah, the silver and the gold, but it's to me, it's a perfect, for the lack of a better term, media player for me right now. Obviously, I can't use it for anything
This
else.
was like the best HTC we never got. It
Absolutely,
really is a spiritual successor to like
the
the
HTC.
HTC 10.
Yeah, no, definitely. It is one of
Yeah.
those really, really cool devices. But you're playing with the Axon 40 Ultra, a triple 64 megapixel. Like I think like ZTE is like, hey, what can we do to make it? So the 8 Gen 1, if I'm not mistaken, just for reference,
Yep.
the reason why I'm excited about this, the 8 Gen
hmm
1's maximum concurrent stream support is triple 64 megapixel cameras. That was if they were to run concurrently, to run 3
hmm
streams to the main sensor. That was the limitation of the 8 Gen 1. And of course, maximum of 208 or something like that if you want to go with the single stream. But ZTE is now on their third generation of in-display camera. So this is the behind the display, not in display. Yeah. So this is one of the things. What I was trying to explain here is the concurrent streams from the sensors. That was literally
Oh,
they're pushing the
nice.
limitation of the 8 Gen 1. So yeah, let's hold on.
Look,
I'm
I
gonna.
can do Eon Flux.
I was a hold on. I want to put you on like main screen here. Okay, let's put. This needs to be our thumbnail. Oh my god, this is okay. Okay, all I need is a
This is so
fly now to.
cool.
We just need a fly to land in there, and for you to start like. If we're
It's
gonna take it, if we're gonna go
so
there, we'll go there.
yeah, yes, again, without co-processors or without anything, I think too fancy or exotic, ZTE is making great use out of what really does become a differentiator for an
They're the only
HN1.
one.
I,
This is the thing. They're the
I,
only one. Nobody else is trying to push that limit. Like
well, and we've
Qualcomm
talked about
announces it,
like
but nobody uses it.
CPU core
Hmm.
compute power and performance and why we're concerned about thermals and stuff. But
Wow.
there's so much going on an SoC, and some of these other things help democratize the landscape. So like
Yeah.
Vivo has accomplished some incredible things apart from using Qualcomm SoCs. I feel like
Yeah.
ZTE is leaning into some of the strengths of the HN1,
I,
but I
yeah.
definitely feel like the phone is being managed.
Hmm.
It's one of the slower phones this year that I've tested for things like video rendering
Oh,
and podcast audio mix
does it have
downs.
the that override option that we get on some phones? No. Okay.
So I've been digging through like the battery settings and stuff, but the thing
No
is, like, I don't want to
monster.
say
No.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, no ultra performance or monster mode or battery tank mode or anything like that.
I
But I
like.
also want to be
Yeah.
very like I'm trying to be very sensitive to the fact that my use on the phone has been pre-release,
Hmm.
and ZTE has aggressively pushed embargo updates. So I was getting the
Ah,
video ready to
the
publish
day one. The
today.
day one. Yeah.
So I had to pull the video. So the official embargo was yesterday,
Okay. Yeah.
and then
I
I
know.
was getting my video ready to go for today. And today we got yet another update. So that puts us at
Wow.
five total pre-release. I mean, four pre-release and one post-embargo, but
Post
before
embargo,
people
but
can buy the
still
phone,
pre-release. Exactly. Yeah.
but pre-release. Um, the software, ZTE has pushed some aggressive bug fixing in this very brief window of time. But if you're on a slightly slower production schedule, like I'm
Hmm.
seeing some of these videos and you're like, you finished your video at update 2. You
Oh
shot
my
your
God.
B-roll at
I
update
like that.
3.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when that was an issue because it's not an issue anymore. And so that's what's so tricky is this is such an aggressively moving target before it's actually in the hands of consumers.
Hmm.
Yes, we want to say, well, they sent it to reviewers. They need to review it in the state that it's in. No consumer is going to handle this phone in any way that resembles those videos that are obviously on slightly earlier patches.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a really tricky kind of conversation. So, there is no battery high performance mode on the phone now. I don't know that it's going to stay that way.
Oh, that's right. They
It
could.
might change.
It's purely a software.
Samsung added one and
Yeah.
OnePlus added one. ZTE could add a performance mode, but as it stands now, this is still ridiculous. I mean, it's grotesque overkill for
Hmm.
covering the basics. It'll
Yeah.
still run laps on older laptops doing heavy lifting,
Hmm.
content creation, editing, all that stuff. It plays games fine. But it's not hard to pick a few like a Galaxy Note 22 head to head, rendering video, Power Director, the Note 22 is going to win.
Hmm.
Rendering video in KineMaster, the Note 22 might win, but it's going to be very close. So again,
Interesting.
it is a software optimization thing. Some
Yeah.
apps are definitely performing better. I don't know if that's a whitelisting issue, like maybe they were doing something similar to Samsung's performance
Yeah. Yeah.
modeling, or if it
That's
is
possible.
just, hey, we're going to see this heavy load. The CPU just cranked up, but we're not going to let it peak to a point where the temperatures are going to be an issue. And ZTE's big claim to fame is aggressive thermal management hardware. So I think this really is all about balancing battery life. The phone really doesn't run hot unless you're
Okay.
trying to do some stupid heavy lifting. And that was like me using the desktop mode to try and keep multiple things going while rendering video all at the same time. And
Yeah. Yeah.
while it was charging the battery, that's about as toasty as the phone got.
Well, yeah.
So,
Battery charging. Yeah. That's tip. Well, it's typical. The only one I have seen that has been doing really good at managing battery charging temperatures has been OnePlus. I'm surprised how they're able to do it. Keeps it under 100 in the 90s, even when charging at full,
Yeah.
65 watt on their chargers.
And
But
see, it's another phone with 65-watt charging.
it's that limit. Yeah, that's that
It's
magical number.
$100 cheaper than a OnePlus 10 Pro, and I already have some Yahoo on my channel going, ZTE doesn't have a brand that can charge that much for a phone. They need to get their pricing in line. And you're like, what are you buying, a purse? Shut up. It's $100 cheaper than a OnePlus 10 Pro
I thought it
for the
started at
same RAM
799, didn't it?
storage.
It's 799, right? The starting sale price, the US for the ZTE
Yes.
for the Axon 40. So 799, double the storage, less than $100. Um, Speaking of OnePlus, I got an email from OnePlus saying
Oh
it
yeah,
was
they're gonna offer a 256.
why it's no, it's like a weird, like, right, they were like all cryptic, right? Like
Hmm.
insert number of RAM, insert number of storage on was it on the 15th or something like that? And I was like, we finally have a solution that that's more than, I mean, I like 128, but I need more storage, man. I'm seriously, my Pixel, I love it, but it's my work phone because of the storage capacity. I shoot too much on my main phone. I shoot too
Yeah.
much content to have to keep wearing to offload everything. But
And even
ZTE
256 can start getting kind of lean.
a little bit, but I feel like
Yeah.
I'm able to breathe. Like I survived with the S21 Ultra on 256 for a while, and that's because it gives me that leeway to be able to shoot enough for about a week without having to worry
Right.
about the phone, and then keep working, and then on the weekend I can take some data off.
Totally.
But with the 128 on the Pixel, I filled it up within the week of testing, and I had no more. I got the warning.
You know room. Right.
Yeah, and I had to
Do
seriously
you
stop
have
everything.
you moved? I'm sorry, and I'm going to sidetrack our conversation
Sure,
this
sure, sure.
entire night. Have you grabbed like a little SSD? Because that's the only thing that saves my butt now when I'm doing my camera testing. Is when I'm out, I
Yeah.
can immediately dump files to my little SanDisk
something.
drive.
So it's not an SSD, but I have a thumb drive that supports a micro SD that I'm able to put in there. But I feel like maybe I should switch over. So I've been using that to offload data. It's a
I'm
little
telling you,
thumb drive.
dude,
Mhm.
it's so much more reassuring because they're
Having something
built a
that's
little more
faster.
robust,
Oh
and they're
yeah,
not that big. The little SanDisk guy I've got is
your camera is bugging.
reasonably. Yeah, I know. I keep
Oh,
bumping
okay.
the table. I need to go back and
No,
redo
absolutely. I saw
all my
some
cables
stripes
and
and a
stuff.
little, like, old TV
But
stuff.
like having this ready to go,
Hmm.
and it actually came with a USB-C
I have the
cable.
SanDisk
So
version. Wait, that is a SanDisk.
this is the SanDisk.
No, so mine is okay, I can't find mine. Mine is the silver version of that. It's the one
Oh, right
terabyte.
on.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a passport. Yeah, no, no. So I have that. I just typically, when I go out, I don't have it in my pocket. The one I
Sure.
have, hold on, I got to show you mine. Yeah. So this is how small
Ooh, that's fancy. And look at
it
that.
is.
Sony nailed the focus on that. Good job, Sony.
I know, it's like lately it's been really loving me, but so it fits a micro SD card, and I have a 256 gig here, and I usually use
Perfect.
that as an external source. But the reason I love this over what you have is because it's tiny, but it loses in the speed department. So offloading
Right.
files to it becomes more of a chore, and I don't want to. And it does
That's
get
fair.
warm. That's the other thing. When you're transferring data to it,
All right,
it
yeah.
gets
I
quite
I have
toasty.
yeah, even just like my older Kingston. This is just like a 64 gig drive.
No.
And boy, howdy does this thing like get toasty. But
Okay.
I wanna highlight this here too. Farhan saying, never mind the $100 cheaper than the OnePlus 10 Pro. It costs the same as an S22, and the Xiaomi 12 with the same 128, and it has way better hardware than any of them. Because ZTE came to play. So
Mhm.
I have zero chill and zero patience for anyone who's like, they don't get to charge that much for a phone because their label isn't worth it. The brand isn't premium enough. When we've got 3 cameras on here, this is the closest we've ever come to a Juan unicorn camera phone.
Mhm.
Both the main sensor and the ultra wide are 1/1.3 inch sensors,
Oh.
and the telephoto is right in line with the Pixel 6 Pro. It's a 1/2 inch periscope folded lens camera sensor. I don't know if anybody has seen like my camera comparisons and stuff.
Mhm.
Last year, that was really close to my dream camera setup. I wanted the ultra wide from the OnePlus 9, I wanted the main sensor from the Vivo, and I
Hmm.
wanted the telephoto from the Pixel 6. And ZTE is really close, if maybe even just a teeny bit better on the ultra wide
Hmm.
than what I've been asking for the last year. I feel their software
Hmm.
isn't quite living up to their hardware potential.
It's
The camera app is super pokey. It's one of those where you've got dozens of modes, but when you go through the mode slider, it's like tick, tick, tick. And you can't get from one end of the list of modes to the other in one action.
yeah.
So you've got to like tap to then get to the menu, to then open the menu, to then get to an alternative mode, like if you want to do their supermoon or their vlog setup. And it's like, it slows me down so bad. And there is no camera launch shortcut. And that
Oh,
kills me.
so nothing on
So,
the lock screen.
no. I'm sorry, there's no hardware.
Oh, the double
So
tap,
you've
the
got
double
to
tap.
turn the screen on, but not unlock the phone, and then swipe from the corner, which, if you're holding the phone one handed, means you're taking this incredibly tall, kind of top heavy phone with almost no side grip because of how
Mm.
curved the glass is, and pushing it away from your hand with your thumb. And if you miss the corner, then it doesn't launch the camera app anyway. I hate the iPhone style screen launch for the camera. That is the dumbest thing I've ever had to use when you can use a volume rocker or a power button
Or
and the
yeah, or at least
camera is
allow us to
ready to
customize some
go.
kind of button configuration. Double press it to turn on
They
the
don't have
camera.
it.
Yeah, because that's what
Yeah, they don't.
literally most
The
people
Red
like to.
Magic has it. And there's nothing
That's a
on the super
different.
mega awesome
Yeah,
camera phone to
it's
do
a
that.
different division of. Yeah, no, I know. Red Magic, same
So
company, different branch, but yeah.
I'm calling this a beautiful work in progress. I'm very positive on this hardware. I wish the lens coatings were a bit more transmissive. You get a lot of internal light reflections on like high contrast and night city lights,
Hmm.
but it is so easy getting just stunning images out of these cameras, but it is a pokier camera system to use than Google, Samsung, Vivo, etc.
I hope the camera does get some updates in the near future that before day
But
one, before people ever
it's
pick it up.
just an insane price performance. It really is. And again, this is another one of those. Michael Peppertech was in here saying, like, oh, and hey, we've got like Samsung, who can barely put 25-watt charging into a $2,000 phone, and you've got
They,
a
they make you go
$200
they make you
Poco
go
that can
buy, yeah.
charge yeah
Well,
80 watts.
okay, so I want to ask a question here. I speaking, you brought a subject that came up to me this week when the EU decided to put in a ruling by 2024, all
Hmm.
devices sold need
Well,
to
I
have
have to support,
USB-C.
yeah.
Yeah, have to support USB-C, which pretty much means iPhones will support USB-C in the EU, which is fine. Um, I'm worried to a certain point right now. I think we're at a cusp of a small problem. It may be a big problem depending on how you look at it. Battery technology and charging technology for most companies are pushing the limit. Every time a phone comes out, we're hearing 150. At MWC, I saw a phone that was charging at 240 watts. I mean,
Yeah,
crazy number of speeds, right? But
yeah.
we are also on a trend, an upward moving trend, because we saw Sony moving in the in the same route, Pixels in the same route. Apple, it's ultimately going to keep moving. What do we do when technology becomes to the point where if you buy a phone that's advertised to have, let's say 250, 300-watt charging, but it doesn't include the charger in the box, and you end up having to use one of your older chargers? Does that at that point start becoming a counterpoint to what we're trying to do? I feel like like when I
It,
heard that ruling, I felt like I was so excited for it. But
yeah.
that secondary trend that Apple started, before, where we're going to go into, well, and there was rumors. The reason why I mentioned this, I saw some rumors maybe a couple of months ago that Realme was going to start not including chargers in their boxes. If Realme, which is supposed to be more of budget friendly, a little bit more budget conscious type of thing, of a series, stops putting that, and we start seeing
Mhm.
them companies removing the charging brick out of the box, but then still
Yeah.
touting 240, 300,
I
whatever.
mean, in the short term, it's you buy the companies that give you the real box.
Yeah,
Like
I think
you
this is
vote
going to
with
be a
your wallet.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
try and support those business practices. But obviously, that's already changing up. Even like Sony is taking
And I
everything out of the
understand. Don't get me
box.
wrong. Sony
So
relies on PD and it's 30 watts. We're not talking
they're not doing
astronaut.
anything extravagant,
Yeah,
right?
they're
So
consistent.
so there's
If
less
you
of
had
a
it from last year, you're
concern.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's less of a concern because you're not dealing with a proprietary charge technology where SuperVOOC,
That's the other
warp
super.
charging,
Yeah.
that's a very specific kind of conversation. But it's also why like I point to a OnePlus, and it's not fair to OnePlus to compare a OnePlus 10 to a Galaxy S22 Plus unless you add the price on the S22 Plus to get the proper fast charger that Samsung sells,
Yeah.
which still can't even touch the charger that's in the box for the OnePlus 10 Plus. What we're gonna have to do is really start buckling down, and it might even require some kind of legislation.
Hmm.
There is a very real and practical consumer concern over mismatching charging technologies for consumer electronics because you want to get optimal efficiency and performance for what that thing is designed to do. And so a lot of these phones will probably support some flavor of power delivery, but power delivery might run the battery hotter
Hmm.
than the standalone super fast charging that these manufacturers are putting into place. So really, it's like yet again, it's unfortunately on all of us to be those good ambassadors to say like this is really what you want to do, and maybe you don't want to go buy that gas station super cheap charger just because Apple didn't put one in the box for you.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're absolutely right. There's going to be a significant amount of consumer confusion. Companies are going to advertise the big numbers, and then they're, but I
Yeah,
plugged it into the socket, and then it
that's
didn't
what I'm saying.
charge any faster.
And
And you're
that's where
like,
I'm worried about. That's the advertising versus, like expectations
yeah,
versus reality
it's
situation.
always the
This is totally
marketing.
this is
Yeah,
totally
for
where
sure.
Instagram versus reality thing kind of come in. And my concern is that, yeah, the marketing department is still obviously, I mean, they're going to do what they need to do to sell devices. Don't get me wrong. They're going to tout all the high numbers, but if it's not included in the box and
Yeah.
you have to buy the separate charger, and at that point it's like, okay, the reality of the matter is not everybody has 120, 300 or 250 or 240 charging. I mean, the sorry, the Honor 40, the Magic 4 Pro,
Hmm.
features 100-watt wired, 100 watts wireless. But to get the 100-watt wireless, you have to have a special charger that also needs to have a
Yeah.
special charging adapter. So a lot of special either it becomes kind of a weird situation. And I'm worried for the Chinese brands that are, as you said, proprietary. They're going down that proprietary route unless there's a unification of the ecosystem where people can easily buy 120 to 140-watt charging brick that works the same on, and to be just on erring on the side of caution too. I know that not Vivo. I know that Realme, OnePlus, and Oppo all use the same charging technology. You could use the same charger between all three. If you have an old one,
Yeah.
you're upgrading from one to the other piece. I get that.
But that's going to
Vivo,
be on the manufacturers to label these things.
yeah,
To your point, this is a more critical and it's a more precious consumer facing concern, but it's very similar to things like Bluetooth audio codecs.
yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's great. These new earbuds have aptX adaptive. Does your phone support it? Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not. If it's a Google Tensor powered phone, then it definitely doesn't. And now we've got a mismatch
Hmm.
where consumers aren't really getting what they pay for. It's so much more precious when that mismatch is how does your battery how's your battery dealt with insane amounts of juice going into a a chemical storage mechanism that
Hmm.
lives in your pocket.
Yeah. No, no.
Like that is definitely a bigger concern. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, yeah.
I just feel it's going to be on techies to sort of drive that conversation and say, hey, this is the label you need to look at. Your
Yeah.
phone is this, it does that. This is the charger that's going to work for you. It's going to be on third-party brands
Hmm.
to clearly identify what
I'm, I'm
technologies they
I'm
support.
hoping, yeah, like
And
Anchor
also
and,
it's
and,
going to
and
be
companies. Yeah.
on BBK Massive. It's going to be on Xiaomi Massive to start a certification program so that third-party chargers we can find an interoperability with those kinds of brands. But also to a point, you want to say like, hey, did you buy a Xiaomi? Go buy a Xiaomi charger. Like the best way to know that all of these things are going to talk to each other correctly is to make sure you're on the same generation of the same company of the same label, and
Hmm.
then you're probably going to be fine.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
without that consumer education coming from the company that built the product, you're spot on. We're going to see a lot of people that are either
Disappointed.
complaining that their phones take forever to charge, or they're going to wear their batteries out faster because they're using power delivery when they should be using SuperVOOC. Like that's always going to be it's going to be a short-term headache of,
It,
of a
but
transition
it's
to
also going
manage.
to give the consumer a little bit that letdown, after purchase letdown, when they're like, I
Oh,
bought the Lamborghini,
totally.
but it's driving like a Toyota for some reason. Like, I'm not doing that, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. So to me, it's the consistency, it's explaining the story. So I hope, like, when companies do get on that train, because it seems like it's an inevitable, but it sounds more, how different, how every company deals with it is a little bit different. Again, for Sony, for me, I understand, the XM5s, the XM5 video that I put out, the box is entirely recyclable, right? The Xperia 1 Mark
Yeah,
IV, entirely recyclable. Very, not even, I mean, there
for
was,
sure.
I don't even think there's paper, plastic in there. Everything in there is literally recyclable, and I understand the message. And But they stuck to the same technology from a year ago. They're not trying to nuke your phone. They're trying to tell you, like, look, 30-watt charging is the fastest. Still good they be there. We gave you a slightly bigger battery. We still have ability of charging it reasonably fast. Um, but I feel I'm worried about, like I said, with the Oppo, with the OnePlus, with the Xiaomi's, where we are in the 60 plus watt. I mean, like, feel like 60 is, like, 67 is the lowest, or 65. So yeah, some
How
of those things.
crazy is it that now like 65-watt charging is a cheap phone
I
feature
know it's starting to be like, I'm cheap.
everywhere else but here?
Yeah, no. In the US, 25 watt is super fast, and 45 won't even charge at 45. But we'll just say
Super
40.
fast charging. I hate branding so much. How many songs can you fit on an iPod? My iPod has 117 songs. How many
It it
songs can yours hold?
it
It's like
it's.
CDs. My CD wallet has 20 CDs in it.
You
And what about
reminded me.
your
I I
iPod?
uh, I just found my CD wallet not that long ago. It does hold 20 CDs though, but I have them.
Who could
I
even
still.
imagine only carrying 20 albums with you at one time?
That was, oh my God. That was literally like maybe 10 years ago. Maybe seven. No, no.
Not that long ago. Yeah.
No, I mean, it hasn't been that long. This is the weird, like, this is one of those things I started reminiscing today with Omar and all of that. I mean, I'm having flashbacks to 12 to 13 years ago and how I documented his life. And the
Right?
reality is, I look at how his life has grown, how his life's documentation's gone, and how my life's documentation's gone. I grew up obviously in a much different era where digital cameras weren't a thing. Cameras were point and shoot. Disposable cameras were not a thing. You had to buy a roll of camera and put it in there. And if you didn't
Mm-hmm.
put it in right, you were running a chance of not taking the right picture, or overexpose, and aperture and all of that was not even a thing. So there's a lot less pictures of, like, myself, when I was a kid, when I was growing up, where
For sure.
Omar has gigabytes, terabytes, teraflops, whatever, of content on him. And so I'm happy. Let's just say this. I'm happy to see where we are and how we are able to do things. But it just, like I said, today's been a more of a reminiscing day. Feeling a little bit old, but feeling very proud. And oh, before I forget, so Omar finally joined. He finally got promoted from his uh, from his Alcatel Go Flip 4.
Oh yeah.
So he's been using that through his sixth grade and junior high and elementary, sorry, and he is now officially part of Team Pixel. He is officially running the Pixel
Hey.
5a. I gave him the 5a 5G because
Nice.
he's used to larger format displays, and he's like, "How's
Oh,
the
the
camera?"
5A is such a baller phone. That
It's
is a
such
great starter phone.
it's so
Nicely
nice.
done.
He got it. He's been on it all day, and I'm actually starting to learn a little bit more about Google Family, family management, on how to use the
Yeah,
app.
helpful.
There's a lot of control. I didn't realize it. Because so anyway, long story short, yeah, Team Pixel, new member, 5A, and then he asked me. He said, "Which one do you have?" I told him I had the 6 Pro. He said, "Is there going to be a new version?" I said, "Yeah, at some point they're going to have a 6A. I think, hopefully in
So
July
then
or
you can
something
give me
like
your
that."
6 Pro, right?
He's eyeing. The guy is he's he has this tactical approach to things, right? He's always thinking of the next thing. You know what I mean? Like, you reach first place. How's the next thing? I second to third. Like he's always moving on. So I love that.
Hmm.
But I want him to start creating content with it. And I told him, I said, look, the 6A and the 5A on device for the most part are going to feel exactly the same. You may get better hardware, bigger battery, stuff like that. But the experience, this is a
Yeah.
Google experience. This is a, Android 12, Android 13 when 13 comes out and so on. But I think the 6A will more than likely still have 12 because 13 won't come out till the 7. So I told him, you're not going to feel a big difference there. They still want the hardware. So one thing we need to do, we need to get him a new case because the case, I guess my case selection is not cool enough. So,
I don't think
but
I ever got a case for my 5A. It was one
I
of the few phones of its time where I was like, you know
the
what?
the,
I'm
the
kind
five
of
A's,
okay
the
just
5As, they don't
rocking the
give us
phone.
cases. Yeah, I had a few cases from
No, but I
companies.
mean, like, I've bought so
Oh
many
yeah,
cases. Like, I need to get a new case for my 6 Pro because the
the
Google,
the color shifting color. Yeah,
ugh, oh, it looks so bad.
every year.
But the 5A, it was like, no, I'm good. Also, a little with the Pixel 5.
Hmm.
I know
Yeah,
we got the fabric cover case. I used that phone. They're two of the only phones I think for a while where I was comfortable just kind of rocking them naked,
yeah. Well,
just
the
because they
5A I
weren't
don't have a problem with
glass
as much because
back.
it's smaller. I feel like it's easier to handle, less chances of
Yeah.
slipping. But the 4A 5G was the. I mean, as you know, we've talked about this before. I'm always the XL, the larger format of a device.
Hmm.
And Omar's first, when I handed him the phone, he's like, "How is this for pictures?" I said, "This is the best picture phone on the market. Google makes some of the best point and shoot cameras." I said, "You're going to be able to make beautiful pictures here. You're going to be able to take great pictures on the front facing camera, on the back facing camera." And I also told him that there was a new feature drop that just came out that you need to download. We'll update it and all of that. So I want him to use that. I want him to get comfortable. And if we do get the 6A and we're able to play with it and he likes it, I wouldn't mind putting him on the 6A. Honestly, the 5A and the 6A will definitely be, they'll serve him very, very well. But I'm
Oh
happy
yeah.
that I wanted him to start with the Google experience, and just experience that with the 765G on that one with 5G and running obviously on T-Mobile. So I'm excited. I'm really happy, and I'm happy that I'm getting him to experience RCS, understanding Android, and starting to understand some of the benefits of how we customize wallpapers and all of that. So I'm happy for them. So I'm
That's cool.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah, the I mean, have you been liking the most recent feature drop? Because I'm not
So
running a beta on my Pixel 6 Pro.
I I
I had my Pixel 5
yeah,
as my beta machine.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still not up to date. I'm 2 betas behind now.
They're up to beta
But
3 now, if I'm not mistaken.
I did finally get the June drop,
I
and
got the June drop as well,
it's been
and
pretty cool.
so I'm trying to learn to use that new video creation tool that they included in there. So that one I'm
My
trying to put
brain
it.
doesn't work that way, but it
It
looks
does.
fun.
It is. I know, doesn't it? Like it's kind of
Yeah.
weird. Like the organization of creating content, importing it, changing the different looks and stuff like that. I understand what the purpose of it is. I just need to understand it, and maybe it'll make sense to him more. Maybe it's geared for a different generational creating tool. For me, I like to shoot everything in as raw possible and as best of a frame rate, and then edit it, post process it somewhere else.
Right.
Because I have an editor. My son's not going to open it up, but so yeah. Long story short, I'm liking it. But specifically, what I love the fact is that we're still getting new features. It's
Oh,
carrying
good.
over. The 5A is not losing any love. And obviously, hopefully, with the 6A, we'll see even more. But speaking of updates, the biggest update that I saw circling around the interwebs and the Twitters, if I may, has been to a very interesting device, a duality type of a device called the Microsoft Duo DOS. How has that been going on as far as
The Microsoft Surface Dose, is that what we're
DOS
gonna start
DOS?
calling
Yeah,
it?
the DOS. Well, I'm not going to say the Dos Equis, then we'll get demonetized for some reason.
700 meg update for their June patch.
Wow.
Finally brings I don't even have it really well set up yet, but it finally brings better notification support to your side
This is-
ticker.
Yep, I saw WhatsApp was in there.
Yeah, and so
For
again, it's doing better. I still wish we could kind of customize the look of that
mhm.
just a little bit better.
I think so.
But it's making that more functional. Also, I haven't noticed how this works, but supposedly
Hmm.
it should allow now for firmware updates to the pen. So the Surface Pen is a major pain in the rear, because like you would have to go to a Surface laptop or a Surface,
Oh, PC.
yeah,
Okay, I see.
a Surface PC to get
Hmm.
this updated. There, if you were trying out Microsoft on a Duo, there was no way to get this to update to talk to different phones.
Yeah.
So now supposedly this is supposed to pair better and do more stuff. Really, for me, it's been just like how wonderfully considered all of Microsoft's tablet interface has become. Where from the last major update to this major update, like this experience of using a dual display device has gotten so sleek.
Yeah.
It's so fast. It's so performant for the
Hmm.
guts inside. And it's kind of like a pixel drop. I mean, all of these little feature updates and improvements are coming on top of some massive architectural improvements too.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of, I still put it in the same sort of category of devices as like a fold.
Yeah.
You I don't see how this could be a mainstream daily driver bread and butter kind of device for people, but it's so hyper specific at what it does well that if you're willing to go on being a part of like a public beta, it has
Hmm.
been so much fun to crank on the Duo 2. Likewise, the Duo 1 also got a 600 meg
Oh,
update for
okay.
June. And very similarly, it too has been significantly polished up. So I find this encouraging because Microsoft is treating their Android products, their Android devices, kind of similarly to how they treat their Windows devices. Just
Okay.
because this phone is older, it's only got a Snapdragon 855 and it's 2 years old. It's not off the reservation for not just, oh, let's get it the new security patch, but like it too is receiving substantial software attention. So I'm hoping that this is my prediction is like we probably won't get a Duo 3 this year. I'm kind of
Yeah.
hoping that whatever comes next in a Duo pocketable form factor is running Windows on ARM.
I
That's
hope
my
so. I
that's my hope.
really, yes,
I
yes.
really
No,
hope that. But I am so happy I was on board for the Android flavor of this experiment just to see how it's evolved over this time. Because it's really good now. If you can get your hands on a Duo 1, like even if you're buying it used or it's in reasonably good condition, or if you can find like a refurb, this is such a different twist on what we think of for Android and tablets. It is so uniquely Microsoft in how it's
mhm.
executed, and as a sort of pen touch computing interface, it's really unique. I mean, it really is
It
fun.
still is a
So,
unique thing. The form factor hasn't been
oh yeah,
duplicated. Nobody's trying to give you that super nice and sleek and very thin experience on any kind of portable. Even with the leaks that we saw from the Fold 4, looks like Samsung is continuing the same shape, same size, maybe a slightly bigger front panel display, but at
I
the end
mean,
of
if
the day,
they're minorly changing the aspect ratio, which I think is positive. I think that's good. But
oh,
when
I
you look at what Vivo's and Oppo are doing, when we
yep,
see what's kind of coming down the pipe for Android 13, Samsung was early to this idea, and I don't feel they're going to maintain an advantage for nearly as long as they did when they were pushing AMOLED.
yeah,
I think they tried to get in early on folding screen technology so they could occupy that space.
hmm,
I don't think they're going to have, once this idea really does become sort of a broader mainstream consumer, someone might shop a clamshell, someone might shop a folding tablet. I don't think Samsung is really going to demonstrate that they've got such a unique advantage over the competition that you have to get the Galaxy version of this. I think it's going to be a much more brutally competitive market for Samsung.
yeah. No, no, and I'm with you. I think it's a big. It's one of the things that saddens me in our market right now, that we have such a small and limited accessibility to type of hardware, and pushing the envelope, like you said, the Vivo in Oppo, just trying to push the limit. And even with I'm hoping at some point we'll see TCL bring in some of their foldables that we saw some
Yeah.
concepts on, because it's been years, right? We've seen it. Chicago was supposed to come out last year, that didn't happen. But man, I handled it at CES. Man, that phone was ready. It felt like it was in the right. It did the exact, like, this was the right competition for the Z Flip that would have driven the
It
Samsung
really
to try to even.
genuinely, it's just whether or not they can make the numbers work
Yeah,
for a version of that idea that doesn't have to be $1,000.
I
And
know.
I think
And
that's
that's what
what's
it
holding
was.
TCL back is you put a hinge on a phone, and to really make money on it and really recoup your R&D and get all of those red numbers back into the black, it's got to be pricier.
Yeah.
Until we can really, I mean, people say, oh, but I got my Duo for $400. Yeah, because you bought it on a fire sale, not because Microsoft made money on that. They lost
Yeah, yeah.
money on that. So if you
They're
want
clearing stock.
hinges
Hmm.
to work, right now we're in Tesla zone. Like when the Tesla Roadster was the only EV out there that could do 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. Like, yeah, that was $100,000 car. It's going to be a while before a phone with a hinge can be practical, durable, and genuinely arrive
Yep.
retail sub $1,000. It's we've still got a ways to go. So I mean, again, I've just been so tickled with the dual display, with
Yep.
what Microsoft has been able to accomplish. I'm very nervous. I don't think I'm going to jump on. Scary If Literal has booted Windows 11 from, I forget which Duo, if it
I
was
I
his Duo 1 or Duo 2,
I thought it was Duo
but
too, but yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm not there yet because I just really like how my Duo 2 is running right
Hmm.
now. So I kind of want to leave it alone. But at some point, I know I'm going to get antsy and be like, okay, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And then I'll give it a run.
I
But for me, it's that has to be the next challenge. That has to be the next flavor of this from Microsoft. We desperately need Windows on ARM on a pocketable tablet,
There has to
and
be some type of a solution that we can move
it's
forward with.
gotta be.
I mean, we've been at the cusp of this for years, and I feel like this weird relationship where Microsoft just does not want to push it, because Qualcomm has been pushing the hardware, right? We have the hardware ready to be able to manage it, but we've been still using a crippled version of Windows that doesn't really
Hmm.
run the way we need it. And it's so yeah. The reality is, I think it needs to happen, and I'm hoping that that's what happened with the Duo 3, or the Duo Tres, depending if they want to go there, Tres X, all the good stuff.
Or maybe we take just a full like year product lifestyle cycle off of Duo, and
Hmm.
maybe we try and resurrect the Neo.
Yes, because the Neo was the one supposed to come out
It
short,
was
not
the
that long
bigger
after the
panels,
the big old
yeah.
which would be more conducive for a windowed experience. A window
That's a
windows on ARM.
surface, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
Totally.
Miniature wise, yeah. No, I'm with you on that. And so we'll have to see how that kind of goes through. But I'm happy to see that this week has been bringing in some really really good updates to a lot of devices, Pixels, Microsoft Duos, and so on. I had an opportunity to play a little bit with an interesting phone. It's a sequel to a different device that I saw at MWC. So at MWC, I saw, and I think I posted about that one, the Neo 3G, the Neo GT, the GT Neo 3, and that had 150-watt charging. And that's basically the Naruto phone. They did a custom edition
Hmm.
of that, and I have
Yeah.
that one which runs the MediaTek 8100. But shortly after that, it seems like Realme released a T series, which is an interesting, because T series used to be a OnePlus thing, but they released the T series. It's like a slightly. This is where you start saying like the line is very blurry between the three, Oppo,
Oh yeah.
Realme,
All
and
these companies
OnePlus.
are now like,
Yeah,
maybe
it's a
we don't
little
need to
bit.
work this hard. Maybe we're just pals.
Maybe they won't notice. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's the Neo 3, and thank you, Sony. Sony is
Oh,
really
that's
loving this
pretty.
one. They went with the flag on this one, like the checkered flag sign there, as opposed to the stripe that they did on the 3.
That's
They
real
switched
pretty.
it over to Qualcomm as opposed to going with the MediaTek, the Dimensity. Slightly bigger battery, slightly better sensor. Charging speed though kind of went the other way. Uh, they went from 150 to
Really?
80. But I
Oh, okay, but
understand.
that's not bad. That's not
Don't
bad.
know, but it goes along with the conversation. Like 65 is now somewhat of a standard now, right? Like you hit
Yeah.
65, you're like, oh, I can get that at a budget price point. I don't have to wait. It's not a 1,000 plus type of technology. But yeah, like Aditya says, that color and texture just looks so nice, and it's not etched. It's definitely under the glass, so you don't feel the textures. But depending on how the light hits it, it always looks so nice. And I mean, Realme's been kicking it out of the park. I'm really been happy, very,
Yeah.
very happy with the way they've been doing things on that. Played with it, runs very nice. Obviously, 870 is still present in 2022, mid year, and we're starting to see that. And I think the Black Shark 5 also came out this week, didn't it? I saw some people.
I saw.
I
I
saw
think
some
we saw
videos. People.
press on that. So no. Again, it's with the international brands because I'm a
Yeah.
Western reviewer. They sent a form saying, "Hey, would you like to try one?" I was like, "Yeah." I really like the Black Shark 4, and I wrote in my name, and then I just never heard back from them. So I feel like I was probably just late for whatever batch of phones they
I
were going to get. But
all I say is I did the same thing for the ZTE, but I wasn't informed about it till Tuesday, the day before the embargo.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll see if there's a chance for me to get a chance to check out the Ultra. I'll be more than happy to.
Well,
But
I mean, I could let you take it for a spin. You
we
know a guy
we
who
I
has
I know a
one of these
guy
phones. I'm
who
trying not
hooked
to
it up.
do some terrible like Christopher Walken impersonation here.
That's actually a pretty bad one. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
can't do
why.
it. That's why I'm
I don't
trying
know
not
why.
to.
I don't even know why I went for him. Like of all, like I know a guy, but no, that's where mine no. We do need to set up some time to. I want to do another in person thing. We need to do some hangout and check out and start. Checking out the different
We also
hardware.
need to do like another phone swap because you've been playing some stuff I want to check out. I know I've got some stuff you want to check out.
I'm like
So
racking up a list, my friend. I have a list of devices I'd like the way we will have like 2 to 3 challenges going on right now. This is how things are going.
phone
Um
swap.
always. But I did want to talk a little bit about the Gamesir. So you got a chance to get your hands on a new, is that the new
Yeah.
controller?
This is a newer controller. This is I'm trying to get it set up here, and I just almost rebooted my my Moto.
Oh,
Hold
speaking of the
on.
Moto, I
The
saw you got the
Folio
case.
case
You got the
thought
case.
it was still attached. So whenever I take the case off, it also registers as the stylus being pulled. So I was trying
Oh.
to get it into the Gamesir, and then it was like, "Oh, but don't you want to write a note?" And you're like, "Oh, no, I don't.
No. Yeah.
I want to play a game." So this is the Gamesir X3. It
Nice.
comes in a really nice hard case to kind of go
And
with it.
as it should. Yeah.
But it's we're very familiar with this kind of
The
controller
Kishi,
setup,
it looks similar very much to Kishi Gen
but
1 with the
it's got a
exception of
real big cold pad fan on the back. So let
nice.
me plug this in so that you
A
can
Gen 1
see.
certified. Bam. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Oh, I don't know if my USB cable's gonna be long enough. Oh no.
First world
Oops, I just
problems. Oh
unplugged
no.
something there. Hold on, let
Yeah,
me see
you're
if I
still with
can
us.
connect it over here. Maybe one of these. I think this will power it. Hold on. This is just
I don't
connected to
know.
like a
Can OnePlus
USB
power
hub.
it though? Oh, look at the RGBs. Nice. I
And
think.
so
Oh, and it changes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's supposed to, but it actually does kind of do ambient. Like the RGB sort of follows what's going on the screen.
Oh, that would be nice.
So I need
I
to
don't.
test more just to see. But there's a big pad, there's a big
Mhm.
fan, and when you touch the pad, I mean, it's just like your phone cooler.
Yeah. No, I understand
It's
exactly what they did.
shockingly cool
They integrated it in.
when it's running
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, so it's all just built in together. The analog sticks are a little fiddly for my
Hold on.
thumbs.
Let me let's put you. Oh nope, wrong one here, and we're gonna boom right there.
So the here, let me turn it around here. So
Okay.
the analog sticks are just a
Oh,
little fiddly
interesting how they did it this way. So one
for my
up, one
thumbs.
down.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like there's kind of a Nintendo vibe in
Look,
general.
but I
A
still
little
would think
bit.
that the D-pad should be at. Well, okay, I get it. I understand. So
But
your
you
direction
know,
is at the top, and the other one, yeah, you're okay. I see.
so it does the thing. But what I like is that it's real chunky.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like
you
you
know,
can, and it's not
for
super loud. I mean, I can
no,
hear it.
it's pretty good. I mean, like here, if I like put it
Well, no,
right
no,
next to me.
yeah. When you had it like in front of you, I can still hear it a little bit. But yeah, I see what you mean.
But phone speakers at arm's length with the fan kind of blowing away from you, you're totally fine.
I like it.
The what was I going to say? Oh, what I really do like is I'm so used to playing mobile games on a more traditional sort of cross between a PlayStation or an Xbox controller.
Mm-hmm.
That some of these, the way that the sort of handle grips on the
Yeah, yeah.
bottom can line up, I need something a bit fatter, or I should say, I want something a bit fatter. And so this, it's got a pretty good chunky grip to it, and they already had to build in the fan, so they just kind
Mm-hmm.
of went with that for the rest of the shell. The
Okay.
shell is not sleek, it's not thin, and I really do kind of like that better. Especially for all the Steam Deck that I've been
Yeah, yeah,
playing, like
yeah,
this,
yeah.
I pick this up, and you're like, I kind of wish my analog sticks were just a little bit broader.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
other than that, it's fun, it's clicky. It's been playing well with a good chunk of games. Like obviously, I play games like Dead Cells
I
and
was gonna
Undead
say, yeah, those are,
Horde, and
yeah, those should automatically
the
map.
the arcadey things have been playing great. It does not like my OnePlus 10. I don't
Okay.
know what setting the OnePlus is using for USB OTG, but
Mm-hmm.
it does not want to talk. Not just this one. It doesn't want to talk to my Steel series either.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's a OnePlus problem. But you've got this cute little fan blowing air. It's been really solid. I need to spend a little bit more time with it and play a couple different games. Like, want to fire up an emulator and play some old school Tetris. I want to try Doom and
Mm-hmm.
see if like classic PC gaming is going to talk to this thing properly. But other than that, like once you kind of get over the limitations of Android, because Android is kind of dumb about controllers, it really has been solid, and it seems to play pretty well. Let me see if I can get a little closer there. Gotta block my eyes. My camera
No,
is
in video,
trying to
yeah,
find my
right there. Okay,
face.
we got it. Yeah, now you can.
So when we look at like how broad that is over the back of the phone, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of our phones, what's generating heat is a little bit higher up.
It's
But you
closer to
pull
the
this
camera. It's
thing
more to the,
out,
I would assume to the left, with the way you're
yeah,
showing it
to
to
this
me.
side.
Oh, you're left. Okay.
So that's the top of the phone on this side.
Yeah, yeah, I can't see
But
that.
when you pull this thing out of the case, it's like the top third of your screen is a little warm and toasty, but then
Mm-hmm.
the back of the phone is cold. So it really is doing something in there. It's just maybe not. It's probably not going to line up with exactly where the heat on your phone is being generated when you got it fired up. But yeah,
No.
especially on phones like the Moto, and I would imagine this would probably be pretty killer on a Sony. I've been very impressed. I've really enjoyed this.
So the centerpiece where the fence mechanism is, it doesn't actually align. It doesn't slide sideways, right? You're not able to
No, no,
move
no,
it.
no.
Yeah.
This becomes it just sort of splays out the same distance.
Okay.
The fan always is going to end up kind of halfway. But yeah, I mean, without even really running a game, yeah, this is cold on the back of the
Oh,
phone
I
right
yeah,
now,
no,
which
no.
is
I
amazing.
passive cool air cooling on even with the one that I got from Red Magic. I absolutely, it was amazing. But as you remember when I were talking to you guys,
Yeah,
remember the placement and the ports and the side, and then with the Red Magic, you don't want to block the internal fan that's in there that's running, counteracting and increasing. You know what I mean? Like it, there. We need more first party accessories like these made specifically or purposely built. This is one of the reasons why on my Oppo on the Find X5 Pro, I keep using the ice case, the case that they
yeah.
sent me, the glacier mat. It doesn't cool it as much as an active fan, but the technology that they're using there still pulls and takes that heat out and gives me a more uniform experience across the
I,
back,
I
and it
I
helps
had
me.
to just look it up here. I forget what technique they is Peltier. Is that how you pronounce it?
Peltier,
Peltier.
Peltier.
So this is gonna retail. I think it's still in pre-order on the Gamesir website. It's gonna
Okay.
retail for ninety
It
nine
used to
ninety
be on
nine.
Indiegogo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they did start it off as a crowd, as a
They
crowdfunding.
typically do. Yeah, Gamesir does that quite a
Yeah.
bit. They go and it
Um,
helps. It helps shows interest in how what people like, and
yeah,
so they don't
and so
overproduce.
I think they're going through whatever for the people that were on the crowdfunding. So I think that's probably, I don't know if any of those have shipped out yet. I honestly don't know. But it is in pre-order on their site proper if you don't want to go through Indiegogo or if you just want like a more traditional retail.
Hmm.
And it's going to be 99.99. So
Yeah.
again, a little bit pricier than say like my Steel series, which I think the Steel series with the phone mount was 60.
Hmm.
But my Steel series with the phone mount, man, some of those phones will run real hot. This
I
actually
felt
does kind of help cool them off a little.
this one is for me feel like it's hitting the Razer solution a little bit more direct with the shape
Yeah.
and the configuration, but adding the cooling which Razer doesn't
Right.
have. So yeah, and it comes with a case and which is much easier to carry. I mean, the reality is one of the reasons why I went with the higher end model of the Steam Deck was because
Yeah.
of the case, because I didn't want to have to go. I looked at it, and if you start buying all the different accessories, they were like, I'm already at that
Yeah.
price. So if I'm waiting till October anyways, might as well get the right one anyways. And so yeah,
And then
I'm
it also
starting
just has like, extra buttons
extra
and
D pads and stuff.
attachments
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah. So if you
Okay,
want like the more umbrella corporation, oh
and that's how
no,
we lose them. Thank you.
for your D-pad, you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
pop that out, put that in there, and different
Okay.
grips for your analog stick. So I mean, it's pretty well considered. How you would put all this together for mobile gaming. You can tell that there was, I mean, obviously the company's name is Gamesir.
Yeah.
They were considering gamers as their potential customers, but it's always nice when you do actually get the product in hand and you're like, oh yeah, the controller is great, but it
Yep.
just came with like a dinky cloth pouch to put it in. Like none of that here. This is $100, and that
It's an
is
upgrade from
not
what so
cheap.
Gamesir used to do the cloth pouch, and I remember because I've reviewed a few of their controllers, but
Yep.
I've only reviewed more of their standard like game like Xbox style controllers where they're basically the dual controller, it's everything in one piece
Same.
with the phone mount. So I'm glad to see that they're jumping into a new form factor, and they're a little bit. I feel like they used to be with like a little boutique type of thing because they're a
Yeah.
little
I mean, they
small company
still
out of Hong
kind of
Kong, and
are. Yeah.
yeah, they are. Yeah, but their name has been going out there a little bit more. Like for controllers, I truly trust them. Between them and Kishi, I feel like you're covered. And Kishi just come out. They're coming out with a Kishi version 2 for Android, so
Yep.
that's gonna also be interesting seeing
So
how that works.
it's the right time because Razer's making their play with an Android. I think Backbone
Hmm.
aren't they looking at doing another follow up for their controller?
Yep.
Everybody's trying to ape this like cradle your phone style gaming rig right now, and so I
Oh,
think GameSir is absolutely on the pulse, and
mhm.
the way that they've delivered this. Like I'm very positive on this as like an early reaction. This obviously isn't like my full review. I really now need to. I want to give it a try. Like I want to see will this play nice with a red magic because that fan vent
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
be
Yep.
in a difficult spot for a back cooler like this. But
But I feel like
already,
you may
I
even
mean,
clear the built-in fans the way where it's placed right there.
I think it might.
You wouldn't have the issue I was dealing with
Yeah,
having to kind of like clipping it on the side just to get it to work. Yeah,
but that's also not really anywhere near where the red magic gets hottest.
that's true.
So when we're talking about thermal conductivity, is that going to help get more out of this? But from limited gameplay, because obviously the first things that I'm going to try, I love having the buttons and stuff back on a game like Undead Horde. The Moto seemed to handle it better after that first couple minutes of gameplay, where you can get like an amazing 90 frames per second, and then the frame rate starts to crash because the
Yep.
phone's running so hot. It seemed to do better, but I need to play for a longer stretch, and that's kind of difficult right now because I also just always want to pick up my Steam Deck.
I was about to say like how do you pull yourself away from that experience? But what I would also love to see is like running the Red Magic 7 Pro with this and seeing like keeping
Yeah.
Undead Horde at
Actually, let's just
120
see.
because that would be because the form factor is my biggest thing. It's always been how do you get it to run with like the cool right, because we have now this, our biggest problem with most of the devices that at least I see is that a lot of the heat is precipitating or coming out from the front, not from the back.
Yeah. Well, and we've gotten so precious with thermal management that now the the bigger cameras on the back of our phones are taking up space that we used to use,
Mm-hmm.
and the main areas. It's so weird to think that like we're trying to get heat out of a screen. Like you think about like older OLED displays where that kind of thermal issue would have just cooked the screen, and now we're like, oh, I guess you just gotta crank your screen to 130 degrees. There you go. Now your phone's running great. I don't know why I zipped this closed, and you get to hear me unzip it. Apologies to everybody who's listening on the audio version of the show.
Aditya, please leave it alone, my friend. Please leave it alone. It's not what you think. It's not. It's not that kind of show. It's not Juan After Dark.
Yeah, I know the unzipping sound effect.
The
I'm
Juan,
just so
Juan.
excited about this phone. Zip. All right. So first of all, it does fit. So I was a little worried because it's just a little bit taller of a phone. The vents. Okay, so the vents on the Red Magic are right in this cavity right here.
Let me bring you over one. Okay, here we go. Okay.
There you go. So the intake is exposed. There's clearance. The arm for this is stretched out far enough that the fan intake for the Red Magic is clear.
Okay.
It's just that the fan is so much lower on the phone because it's under the camera module, and that's not really a super hot spot for the Red Magic 7. So I do need to give this a whirl. I bet you if I throw on charge separation, I crank it to 120, I have the fan running full bore, and I've got this in the case, I bet you the screen's still going to run really hot because the Red Magic is going to say, hey, I can run the SoC even harder because the phone seems to be staying cooler. And so then it's gonna like nuke. It's gonna go to like ultra. They've gone to plaid, you know.
Yeah. They've gone to
ludicrous
plaid. They're
speed.
like, no. I feel like that's been the thing with what we get here. It's the it's like, oh hey, you give me more headroom, I'll take it. That type of an experience.
The Red Magic takes it, big time.
Yeah. So, but this is funny because when we talk about Red Magic and then we're talking about the Axon 40, the reality is this is two different divisions of ZTE, and you're getting such a different experience.
Completely
Obviously,
different, yeah.
Absolutely, gaming centric, gaming focused experience. And we still get updates every once in a while. I still get updates of you on the Red Magic 6S or the 6 Pro from last year. It's the last one because I sold my 7, but I kind of regret selling the 7 because that looked so nice. The RGB on the fan that they added into the 7 Ultra, the Ultimate Edition, it was so nice. It was a very nice,
so good.
And I got it for a good deal too. But and I'm very excited to see what we can. But the one thing I wanted to ask in the way it looked like, at least when you were putting both phones in there, the phone seems like they're actually flat to the top part of the actual the case itself. So it doesn't look like it's covering it on both ends when it's grabbing it. So there's no grabbing mechanism on the phone from the right and left other than the USB-C connection.
So
is there a grip on the left side?
USB-C connection. Let me see if I can just get it to stop focusing on my face.
I would tilt it forward. Yeah, here you go. You're there. You got it.
So when you look at this side right here, there's like a spongy sort of softer material that angles and that tries to line up with the edge of the screen. Okay. So there is something you can kind of see, like there's a little bit of flex, and especially like on the Red Magic because it's a taller phone. You can see like I'm kind of out close to the limits.
Yeah.
Like I don't have much room. That's about as far as it'll go from right there.
And that's actually pretty good, actually, think about it.
So it's not bad. You just got to be real careful because obviously the USB-C plug in the controller has a lot of flex so that you can kind of angle the phone in and then extend. But you've got to kind of plug and then slide everything out to then get the phone back in. It's like you really just want to be careful because you're putting a lot of putting like a lot of force. You're putting a lot of pressure on that USB-C plug.
It's always the one of the things that always drives me crazy, and I always make sure to tell Omar about it, and my wife always,
See,
don't stress that port. You think it's just I see what you mean. It
oh
flexes,
yeah,
but
sorry.
yeah.
So it's still connected to the phone,
Mm.
and then you just got to be very careful, like pulling it back out, and then you can see how
It's like
far
it's like a loose
that'll
tooth before it
that'll
falls out. No,
rotate
I'm just
out.
kidding. No, I'm not gonna.
It totally, yeah, it's so
That's
gross.
when you were playing with it. That's sort of like, yeah, that's what it felt like. Is it ready to come up? No, still moving.
Not yet. Let me just tie a string around it and slam a
Yeah,
door.
let me slam. Believe it or not, that actually works.
We got
We did
Lex
that.
was one of them.
We did.
It
Yeah,
was
we
it
did one.
was crazy.
We did it one time with Omar. I want to say maybe a few 5, 6 years ago. But oh man, that kid. I love him. I
Yeah,
love him
he's
to
all like
pieces.
grown up and stuff. That's weird.
I know, but like it's. He is grown up. Like I said, I'm telling you, it's like been nostalgic all day today. It's like he turned 20 or something, or he's leaving or something like that. But it's been, I'm like looking at a picture where I'm able to hold him, and he's like literally the distance from here to here, and I was like, how is in the name like, and he's like he's almost up to my nose now, so about almost the height of mom. So he's pretty good,
And
and getting him into pixels, getting him to gaming and stuff like that. We have a summer coming up. Tomorrow he goes in, picks up his certificate, the actual graduation thing. Today they gave him like a piece of paper, but it was nice. It was nice. I'm gonna miss the days where he's able to walk to school, but with that, it's
yeah,
still decent. So we'll have to do more pickup and drop offs next year because he's a little bit further away. But such is life. It's good, and I'm working from home. I don't mind it. I like it. I actually no. I seriously, the first 2 years were an adjustment period to a certain point,
yeah,
but now that I have a choice in it and I actually chose for it, I like it. I like that option, and I like the fact that that's the direction we're going with. So,
nice.
but I did want to talk a little bit more, obviously, about what's going on with you as far as the near term. I mean, next
Yeah.
week, obviously, or maybe later this week. Is there any more content coming out from your end?
Yes, so tomorrow is Camera Showdown Vivo X80 Pro versus Xperia 1 Mark IV. So
Nice.
that's it's very little in terms of direct photo and video comparisons. It's way more talking about how different they are as content creation platforms,
Hmm.
like what the strengths and weaknesses of both cameras are, and how they're almost polar opposites. Like
Okay.
they're two of the best camera phones on the market today, and they couldn't be more different if you tried. So that's going out tomorrow. Also, this week I finally got some of the. I've been having a lot of issues trying to. I've talked about this before. I tried to
Sure.
get way too precious in matching the sound quality of my previous speaker tests, and
Yes,
it
I
just
remember you talked
wasn't
about the
ever
studios.
gonna
Yep.
happen here in this new office. Like it does not sound the same. So if I take one of my LG V60 speaker tests
Hmm.
from the last Gadget Lab, it's just never going to be comparable to an LG V60 in this space. So I kind of gave up, and now I'm just going to be re-recording phones that I think are important to listen to, and then just recording new phones fresh. Sony Xperia audio video went live on the Patreon.
I saw that one.
Uh,
Yep.
then maybe over the weekend or early next week on the Patreon is going to be the Poco F4 versus the Red Magic 7, the Red Magic
Okay.
7. So that's going to go live. That's an audio test, talking about headphone performance and speaker performance. And then hopefully at the end of next week will be Steam Deck. So the Steam Deck audio review is also in the pipeline too. Actually, that video should be finished. I should be finished editing both of those tomorrow and Saturday.
Yeah.
So quite a bit of that going on, and then just I need to do this video on the Gamesir. I've got to build that NOS that we talked about like last week.
Oh yes, no, I finally got
I've
yeah.
got to
So
put all that
I
together.
picked up 2 drives and I got it back up and
Yeah,
running, and I was like,
that's
so
right.
that was a scare. That was a scare because
It's freaky
yeah,
when
I didn't
your
get yeah
data.
I didn't catch it at the time where it was giving me warnings. I caught it when the drive was gone. I turned it
Yeah,
on. It's like drive 4 is not there. I'm like, what do you mean drive 4 is not there? So I mean, I've had this problem before. I just for some reason I assumed red drives from Western Digital should have lasted longer. I did end up picking up 2 reds just in case, just to kind
Hmm.
of keep me over. But if I do end up, once I go through my the only spare I have one, because I already used one to fix this system. I'm gonna probably take your advice and probably switch over to Seagate and see maybe some of their solutions there.
The Iron
Um,
Wolves have been good. I
and
still
the
have
red ones
reds
do
in my
typically
current.
well. They typically do well for me. But this is the second drive to fail, but it's not the same slot. First time was slot 3, this time is slot 4. I don't know if it's maybe I just had a bad batch or something like that, but the
Sure.
drives that I have are newer, and I should have at least another, is it 4 years or so warranty from Western Digital, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's just say that. I'm okay
Yeah.
with it to that level, but I'm glad I caught it. I'm glad I found it. And my local Best Buy apparently did have 2 left, and I picked both of them up.
That's
I'm like,
good.
I'm not going to pass it up because I know by the next time this happens, they may not be, SanDisk or Western Digital. I think is it SanDisk that bought them, or is it they bought SanDisk? I forgot the other one way or another. But um,
Yeah, there was like a corporate merger, and I
there
don't
was
remember in what direction
yeah.
it was
When I
supposed to
called them
be.
last time, they told me that the spinning drive division, they no longer recognize the spinning drive. They want to go all SSDs, and I was like, your servers are 90% spinning drive. You know that, right? Like people still
Yeah.
use spinning drives for those. But so long story short, that was fixed. I'm glad, and I hope yours kind of also gets. Is yours the same thing? Is a drive failing or?
No, 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 no. I'm working with QNAP on
Yeah.
another little 2-bay NOS.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
that's what I
so
have. I have the 4 bay.
I'm building the 2-bay, and then I think what we might do is turn that into a how to get my parents set up with network attached storage
I like
kind of
that. Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
So
No, no.
I'm just putting the drives in, getting it set up, and then I want to do a follow up where it's like, hey, my parents have all of this data that they've just been backing up to like a little portable spinning disk drive, and it's time they got something a bit more
A little bit
robust
more.
than
But I,
that.
I think
So
I think the a 2 bay is nice. I think a 4 bay would be also a nice upgrade as well. I mean, they have even go up to 8 bays and so on. For me, it's more about the redundancy and it's the
yeah,
valuable data that's on there once you start storing stuff on it. But yeah, way better local,
yeah,
offline, no need
I'm living
for
dangerous. I just have a little 3-bay in RAID 5, and like
4 bay
that's
RAID 5 same.
been
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you have the ability of losing a drive and you're not, fully tanked, you're good. Chances of more than one, very rare, but yeah, for me, and I did learn it, by the way, I did research it up, at least with QNAP, as long as you put in a equal or higher storage capacity to what it used to be, it will allow you to put it in. It won't
That's good.
increase this, it won't increase
Yeah,
the
of
storage
course.
capacity yet till all 3 or
All of
all
them
4 are
match.
matched. But at least in that situation, yeah, I don't have to be, I'm not a married to red drives. Let's just say that. And I did not think about doing that. It was more about panic and fire, turning off hours. But yeah. Um, so for that, I think for me next week is going to be a little bit more focused on a couple of things. I do want to put out the Samsung video that I have. I've been working with them for some time, and I feel so bad that I haven't pushed that out. So I'm going to put that. I'm going to record that this weekend.
Oh, that's good.
Try to push that out. The couple of little mics, that I
Hmm.
got some time ago, and I do want to put out my review of the Honor Magic 4 Pro. It's been a
Yeah.
great little, and it's not like a little. It's a quite capable device. I
Hmm.
got the watch, I got the buds for it, I got the charger, so I finally have the full ecosystem
The
that
full
Honor wants
honor
to put out.
experience.
Yeah, but it's so nice. It's been so long that I've been missing it. You know what I mean? Like I used to be engulfed in Honor and Wow. Well, not Huawei mostly, but like Honor very much. Like I
Hmm.
was Honor everything, um,
I
and
can't
and
tell
you as
you
well.
how it's so funny like how it's a phone and I'm sitting here getting emotional about it, but it was like I was cut off after the View 20. And you're
Yeah,
like, this is such an amazing phone. I can't wait to see what Honor's going to do next, and they're gone.
it was
And
actually right around
so,
that time where they stopped selling in the US. The View
yeah.
20 and I think it was the 7X was the last
Hmm.
two devices they brought in, and then after that,
So
yeah,
so to
even now,
see how much of that DNA has not only been maintained, but that like that Magic 4 just looks like such a monster performer.
yeah,
And it's got the desktop mode, and it's got all the cameras on the back, and the
and
screen
exactly.
looks really nice. It's got the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
It's not an optical. I mean, it's like this is such I
the
mean, like
configure.
It's
It's
such a
Honor,
great configuration,
but it's
and
unlike
it
the Honor that you
looks like
remember.
an Honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in that pushing limit, and the watch is really nice. My wife is actually eyeing the watch. It looks really nice. I told her, I said that when I'm done, you could definitely maybe upgrade to that one. And of course, the buds are actually very, very nice too. But what's been really blowing my mind is the charging, the wireless 100-watt charging. It's actually been crazy good. It works as advertised, which is crazy. But yeah, so
So
those are going to
fast.
be kind of what I'm focusing on for next week. This week has been primarily the 3T, and I pushed out the video for the chair this morning. Hopefully that'll pick up a little bit. I like the chair. I really like this. Is a nice cross between a gaming chair and a office chair, because it still has
Nice.
the leg rests, it has the configuration, the mesh, the cooler. I mean, it's much more. Let's say that for extended amount of time in the office, as I typically do, because I switch stations here. It's
Hmm.
nice. So definitely, yeah. If you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, please show that video some love. I know it's like such
Everybody
a,
is
a side.
I love covering like office equipment and stuff. I'd be doing reviews on like paper shredders. I think that stuff is so cool, but it
Yeah,
dies on YouTube.
it
Everybody in here, help him out with his chair review because it's a
it
good video and
it
it's stuff
it
that people do care about.
it is, and especially for people like when they start looking at it, I'm sure this is evergreen type of content, but still,
Yeah.
I think the brand, I personally haven't seen them before, so it was first time working with Tabata. So yeah, for sure, definitely a very nice chair, small, easy to use, easy to set up. So, but yeah, so that'll be some of the stuff coming up for me next week, and of course, Saturday we should be doing obviously the Android Bay, and then back with you on Monday with the
Yeah.
SGGQA. So it's been I think will be more and more stuff coming up. I'll say there's a couple of things that I can't mention or share yet that'll be coming up hopefully in the next few weeks, which will
Mm.
definitely surprise you guys, and you'll be happy with. But yeah, working on that. And I do want to talk to you later on, of course, about setting up some time. Maybe we can hang out and try
Yeah,
to do
we should.
some some geeking out and maybe checking out devices and stuff like that. That'll be really nice.
We're just overdue a field trip in general. I
It's been,
mean,
yeah, I
like
know.
it's just been
Like
too long.
it's been over, yeah, it's been at least over, it's been over a month or so, like since the last time we hung out with the when we had the Xperia and the X80. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, for sure, we'll have to set it up. But I do want to say, of course, thank you to everybody. I know it's not as long of a show today, but it's a little bit, we still got a chance to cover a lot of good things, a lot of things going
We
on.
covered a lot of ground, yeah.
We were jumping all over. And I want to say thank you very much to Chris, to Farhan, to Aditya, our Mr. Cumberbatch of our channel, of course, Michael Corrigan, Golan Lavi's in the. Hey, Golan, man, hope you're doing well. I just noticed that he was
Yeah.
in the chat,
And
and of course,
I got to throw the shout out because like Chris asked the question and you're like, well, how much does that cost? And I love seeing Chris's name pop back up. Tech
mhm.
Lovin' Mama, same
Oh yeah,
thing.
same.
Actually, she just posted here. It's funny the stuff we use or need almost daily that can help make life easier doesn't do so well on YouTube.
Which I'm
I
sure
mean,
people that are looking for chairs or stuff like that, they'll go to YouTube and look it up. It's literally
and
what they do.
I don't want to be a gatekeeper, but I kind of feel like there's like geeks who get into phones and stuff, and then there are true geeks who can find all of the joy going through like the craft section at an Office Max. Like, oh, I need those scissors. Those scissors look amazing, and I need this new Crisp Cut paper shredder that can
Absolutely.
handle like 20 sheets of paper at once. That's amazing. And you're like, yeah, yeah, I definitely vibe with that flavor of just everything can be geeky and fun. So I know how you feel, man. Like I did a standing desk, and you're like, this. I put so much effort into this video, knowing no one's gonna care about a
Well,
standing desk
I don't
video.
even think I think a big part of it is I think YouTube as the algorithm right now seems like that people are not interested in non-tech or non like they feel like the chair is not that exciting. But the
Right.
reality is when you are looking to buy a chair and you are looking to office desk or chair, it's these are the type of videos you want to watch before you buy, because you're not going to see it on the landing page or wherever you're looking at. You do
For
want to see all
sure.
the little turns, the little options in there, and then of course being used, that lived-in experience that does give out a little bit more information. I feel like so. Long story short, obviously, is it? Yeah, it may pick up at some point. Right now, it looks like it's tanking, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, things will change, and we'll see how that video does. But You know what? It's been a good day. I'm on a high with Omar. I'm gonna
It's been a
enjoy
good
that.
day.
I'm gonna ride
Yeah,
it.
man.
I'm gonna ride it tomorrow morning. Where we'll wake up. He's going for literally an hour and 15 minutes, and he's back. So it's exciting. So
Nice.
but
That's
with
so
that being
cool,
said,
man.
I will say thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Be safe, stay safe, and hopefully you can do more with your tech. Thank you, Juan, for hanging out with us as well. We'll see you guys next week.
Bam.